So we've looked into Lich, we've looked into Raya, we've looked into Fana. The final Eye of the Midnight Sun character we need to look into is the brand new red defending SSR character, VETTO. How good is that man going to be? Well, I've already said my piece to say that he's not the best. Ripperoni, what more can I say? Although he does have the life stealing going for him. Regardless, we're going to build the man, we're going to check him out. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I believe at the very beginning for Global he'll be somewhat okay, I guess. But just a character that just loses value and is, as of right now, overall one of the worst defending SSR characters. Well, probably the worst SSR defending character. Yeah. Anyway, regardless, we'll figure out a bit. All right. Just before we quickly get onto VETTO's gear build, on the Fana build video that I just posted, I know I mentioned this, but I feel like I should have followed up through with it to say that her accessories, I would cater more to the crit rate rather than crit damage. I'm now kind of going back on myself, so that's for the Fana video. If you've seen the Fana video, then you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't seen it, just know for the accessory side of things, I'm actually more in line to cater to the crit rate than crit damage. I kind of went back on myself on that one. But regardless, the video is public, it is what it is, we move on, I'm doing VETTO. So VETTO, how are we looking on this man? First things first, with the accessory side of things, I'm catering more on the defense side of things on both earrings and necklace. Unfortunately, I don't have any defense for the ring. I've only got crit rate and crit damage. If you look at his base stats, crit rate does need a lot more support. So if I wanted to, actually, I could throw in the accessory to buff him up on that part and even on the earrings, and then keep the defense on the necklace. That's a possibility if I want to play that route. Keep in mind with the VETTO, even though he is a defender, he can also do beautiful damage. More on his ultimate, that is, so you can cater to that. But essentially that's how the build or the accessory is going to work. Also for the accessories as well as the gear sets, when it comes to the substats, realistically what you're looking for is attack, HP, defense and damage resistance, or you can have it where it's attack, defense, HP and damage resistance. You can switch between the HP and defense and whether you want it second or third, right? Essentially, those are going to be the 4 substats, is what you're looking for to cater VETTO. So, when it comes to the build for VETTO, how do we want this man to work? Keep in mind, he is a defender, and he is life-stealing, and he does decent damage as a defender. He's a bit of a weird one, but it is what it is. So, we want to cater to some damage boosting. Of course, VETTO, as a defender, on his ultimate, he does hit pretty hard on that part, so can't let that go to waste, so we do want to buff up the damage. So by the way, I really should have mentioned this for Lich, Raya and Fana's video. You know, even though I'm using the gold sets, you guys can resort to using the non-gold sets, and then in time when you're capable enough to upgrade it over to the gold sets. Alright, so attack of course is what we're going to be adding to cater to his offensive side. Then what we're going to do is we're going to give him some HP buff. Alright, and do I have we've got attack there. Do I not have... Oh, we do. Okay, perfect. I was going to say we need to buff up his attack. So we're going to go with that. And then we're going to go with that. There we go. And then lastly, it will be the defense. So HP, attack, and defense. Yep, that's perfect. We'll go with that. And then, do I have any... I've got one here. So, oh no, you know what? Actually, yeah, I do have one. There we go. Boom. Alright. And then that last slot, it could pretty much be, actually we'll just go over to can I go over to speed? Perfect. Yeah, that last slot, it's completely up to you on how you want to do it. You can either cater to the attack side of things or apply more to his defense, and then of course you can pile on the substats more in the offensive manner if you want to. You can also potentially get double attack, that's also an option, but with VETTO I always go for the offensive power. There we go. Just so that he can heal more back from his life stealing. So that's an option. Again, the oddball of the gear set, you can have attack or you can have defense. It just really depends on how you want to build him and kind of, yeah, feel him out. But essentially, this is going to be the best optimal gear set for VETTO himself. You could, if you... I mean, well, I know some people might add to say, can we double up maybe on the defensive side, get rid of HP? You can do so. But the bonus to that is plus 250 on the defense, so it's not really much, to be honest. If you really want to capitalize more on the damage side of things, I mean, again, if you want to take off the HP, obviously you want to keep the defense in, of course, and get the plus 220. That's also an option. But realistically, I don't think there's anything else I want to change other than the fact that this is going to be pretty much the gear set for VETTO. Yeah, there's no point doubling up on like defense or attack, anything like that. This is just kind of like the overall gear build for VETTO that's going to be most suitable. And I'm not going to add life stealing, and the reason for that is because there's no stipulations, and I'll get into that obviously once we get over to, I mean, well, I've already gone through his kit, but I'll remind you guys in just a second. Alright, so now we're going to be looking at the talent tree. Now, I think the best route will be the plus 7% and then the damage dealt 5%. Unless you're going to cater to his crit side of things, then, I mean, fair play, you might want to make it so that you're getting that plus 7% into the Grant 2.5, which then gives him a buff up of, what was it, 12.5? If you want to, if that's the route that you're going to go with. But I think in general that these two might be the best bet. Now, obviously, VETTO is going to be a PvE character. Do not take him on PvP, otherwise he's going to get absolutely mollywopped. I'm sorry, but he's just not the defender to take. But for PvE, it's a whole different ball game. I was considering applying this, but then I realized, nah, just keep with Sharp Mind and increased attack. Again, unless you're going for some crits, then it will be increased attack and Battle Frenzy, but I typically go with the 5% and 7%. Defense is fairly simple, increase the defense and endurance, fairly simple. Over by the support side of things, you got swiftness and you got increased damage resistance, which is what I would have said. If you want to apply the HP recovery speed by 5%, that's also an option, but he recovers more than enough and some if you manage to get his Grey more, which we'll go into. I typically go with the damage resistance and swiftness, but I will say you are open for the HP recovery if you do want to get more back when it comes to the ult as well as the second skill. So yeah, that is the talent tree and how it would work. So when it comes to VETTO, the man, the myth, the legend himself, one thing which I do want to quickly mention on why we're not catering to the life-stealing gear set is because on his ultimate, he's already life-stealing by a great deal amount, and his ultimate does hit pretty hard. If an enemy has disarm on them by reducing their damage, then he gets even more life-steal back. So there's no stipulations on his ultimate or any type of life-steal stipulations where the character needs to have this debuff or that debuff. How Hafana is, of course, because she's kind of being held down by the burn debuff. VETTO, on the other hand, he will just lifesteal, and his ultimate does hit pretty hard for a defender. So that's kind of why you want to apply it and sprinkle in some little attacks in whilst being a tank character, so making sure that he can tank a lot. Unfortunately, it's his second skill where it caters. So if your HP is equal to 60% or lower, attacks after granting a 50% lifesteal. So it's working from the HP scaling, which isn't bad at all. As you know, he's a tank, he's there to absorb, so the minute he drops below 60%, it's not the end of the world. You can rely on this AoE second skill to grant that heal back. So kind of keeps the ball rolling just a little bit for him. And again, with the fallen ally situation, it just helps him out a little bit more to get more damage off. So it kind of helps him out in the long run when it comes to redoing that ultimate to hit more harder. So that's I just quickly wanted to clarify on why he really doesn't need life-stealing gear sets. Okay, so when it comes to the skill page for VETTO, how are we going to be looking at this? So of course he is a defender. If you have VETTO's skill card, get that in there, because of course whilst he's HP recovering, he then gains a barrier equal to 100 to 140% of his own attack. That is very clutch. When VETTO initially dropped for JP, of course, I managed to also get his Greymore, and I will admit, this barrier with healing, because if a healer does heal you, I just want you guys to know, it stacks the barrier too. So if you've got Mimosa, and she AoE heals or just heals VETTO, it's not just from his skill set where he's getting the barrier from the HP that he recovers, but if anyone's healing him, it also then equates to him actually getting that barrier buff too. So if you do get a skill page, throw that in there ASAP. And plus, of course, it does buff up his second skill with the extension on the debuff, so helps out the debuffers there. Now, obviously with the alternatives, if you have Radis, again, picture perfect, at the start of every wave, grants a barrier equal to 15 to 30% of your maximum HP for 2 turns. So if you want to max up on the HP side of things to benefit from this barrier from Radis' skill page, then you're more than welcome to. Of course, if you have Mars's, I mean, it's kind of standard, because of course it does apply Fortify, which is of course reducing damage taken. So these are just like the general SSR Greymores, which if you have, you can quite easily apply onto VETTO, and it would just work completely fine, of course. Now for the SR versions, obviously Soul and R-Star, picture perfect. Soul is basically, yeah, just attack reduction. Again, just allowing you to eat. Has a 20% chance of applying 5 to 50% attack reduction to an attacking enemy. To an attacking enemy for 1 turn upon taking damage. I mean, it's not the best, but I mean, it's just kind of like a fill-in, if you want to say. If you want to apply the Arthur's one going against a boss, because keep in mind, VETTO going against PvE boss as a tank character, or tank offensive character, works a lot more better than anything else. So in that department, VETTO is actually usable outside of everything else. That's kind of why I'm saying for global, he's somewhat okay. And then of course, so yeah, with the Arthur's one, which you can quite easily max out, since yeah, they give you so many copies for free, applies 10 to 18% reduced damage taken to yourself upon taking damage from a boss. So in a PvE boss situation, if you do have this and it's maxed out, you might want to consider using it. So it's pretty nice if you don't have options. Another one which I'll actually throw in is Seke's one. So applies 5% increased max HP and 10 to 30% increased defense to yourself. For a rare, that'll get the job done. I'm just saying, I just have to throw that into the mix. Again, it's a rare, you can quite easily max that out, of course. Okay, so and of course in general, what are we looking at? There was one SSR one I was looking at, which was, oh, is it Moonlight Necklace? Yeah, it is. So yeah, applies 40 to 80% increased defense and then 6 to 10% increased healing to yourself. This would actually be pretty nice for VETTO if you wanted more options, of course. Night Blooming Flower, I mean, this one is kind of like a nerfed up of Mars's one, so it has a 25% chance of applying 8 to 20% fortify to yourself for 1 turn. Upon taking damage, does not stack, so not the best, but it's a fill-in. You know, at the end of the day, it's a fill-in. And I think, I mean, Breath of the Wind, it's not bad. Grants immunity to status change to yourself for 1 turn at the start of each wave. Grants HP recovery equal to 7% of your max HP to yourself upon being affected by a status change. Yeah, no, I would still resort to like the rares and whatnot, like Seke's one that I've just forementioned. But essentially, those are going to be like your go-to skill pages that you can resort to using if you choose to. Outside like the universal skill pages, there's not really much going on there, so not really much to mention on that part. I mean, technically speaking, if you want to cap on the the healing nonsense that VETTO can get, it has a 35% chance to HP recovery equal to 4 to 16% of your max HP at the start of your turn. I mean, yeah, I mean, 200 is in your favor. That'd be pretty funny to see, because I mean, well, no, you won't get the barrier because that's from his Graham Wall. Well, yeah, that one, no, don't do it. I just thought maybe we could make something work there, but that is pretty much the skill pages on what you can use from when it comes to SSRs, SRs, and rares when using this VETTO. So that's pretty much it. Like I said, do not take this man onto PvP. I'm sorry, and unfortunately, when it comes to defenders, as aforementioned, yeah, he's just not cutting it when it comes to what the other SSR defenders are bringing to the table. He's just out of them all very poor. PvE wise though, in a boss situation, this VETTO could actually help you out in that department. And I say that, and it's from experience. It's from experience. The ultimate, as well as the amount of healing and barrier play from his Greymore that comes into the whole situation. It actually does come in clutch, and has come in clutch to actually complete a high tier boss raid, of course. So yeah, I will give credit where credit is due, and VETTO in that situation actually does come in clutch. So he's not terrible. He's not like to the point where, oh, he's not usable. No, he's got his uses, but it's very like he's set on one path. There you go. Yeah, he can't expand to take other paths. He's set on that one path. Anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it for VETTO. That is the red defender that is going to be coming up. I don't think many people are going to be going for him. I think everyone's more in line for the green meta boys, which is completely understandable. And then I think a few will be trying their best for Fana, but I think VETTO is just, in my opinion, an easy skippable character, which I don't even think he'll get many uses, even if people do pull him. Yeah, that's just the complete truth. So it is what it is. But there we go. That's all the Eye of the Midnight Suns characters that we've looked into build-wise. I think the next thing to do is to get some teams going, show them off a little bit, see how they're going to be used on global, and see what's the best optimal team for them.